Today we are here looking at DeFi Kingdoms, but we also have an update for Chirp financials. Last time when we did a video, we were looking deep into that. We happened to find it. We put a little bit of money into it. We did a little things with it, and we're making money. Making those money printers every day. That's what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, we're going to be discussing DeFi Kingdoms today, specifically the money printers there, which is very interesting because it goes into GameFi, which is a little bit of a thing we're going to be deep diving here after we're done with all the LPing. But yeah, let's go back over with the update on Chirp financials. If you could share my screen real quick. All right, so yeah, when we last left our heroes, we were here at Chirp Finance, messing around on a brand new farm type dealio, right? And then, so for me personally, I actually ended up going into Chirp and Pulse. I threw 200 bucks into the pool entirely, and I kept taking this, harvesting, going over to these pools, and I did the safe route, and I was throwing it into just a single-sided staking Chirp, right? A little bit of extra on top. Now, I did pretty good. Before the SEC did what they did to Pulse Chain, I actually ended up pulling out an extra $100 out of it, well, close to at least. So for the most part, I mean, that's a pretty good move, you know, putting 200 bucks in, pulling 100 out, bam, pretty awesome. So that's personally what I did. It was pretty simplistic for me. Tracker, I know you had your own thing going on, so kind of if you want to give us some insights on what it was you were doing.
Yeah, sure. So what I did was I jumped into Chirp USDC because it was the highest APR, and it was doing really well for me until, like you said, the SEC stepped in. I was taking and repothecating back in. I'm looking at my notes here and all my here we go. So I basically put in $500, and up until the SEC did what they did, I had basically turned that 500, and it was sitting at, I think it was right around $275 in profit.
Nice.
500 that I put in there, but then SEC came in and it basically dropped it almost, my profits down almost nothing, but it did act as a cushion because then I was able to transfer those funds over and buy, get into Pulse on the pullback. So I'm up on those Pulse positions just because I was having this cash on side. But the good thing about this is was working. It was working nicely. It actually was working just like we thought it was. I was watching the total value locked on the pairs, and I saw a lot of interesting swings that were happening with the Chirp finance. I was seeing it at one point, it got down to only $10,000 locked into the LP pair that I was looking at. It's the one at the top, the USDC. Go to the top, at Chirp USDC. It was in that one. It had got, when I did it, it was close to 3,200%. It was the one to the right. It's Chirp USDC.
Right? Yeah,
so
okay.
It had about 3,200%. And then over the next couple of days, it had dropped, and it got down all the way down to like 2,000. And then, but then it's interesting. You could see the APRs going up as the total lock value goes down, which is exactly what we talked about with everybody. So it got down to $10,000, but then all of a sudden it went all the way up to $30,000 at one point. So people had added to it prior to what happened on the the SEC announcement with the Pulse chain. So people were starting to move into these, and you were seeing the Chirp price. It was going down, but it was kind of starting to base up. It was starting to find a bottom. So yeah, it was working beautifully, and I just kept repothecating back in because it was one of the highest percentage rewards. My feeling was, if I'm going to be doing this, why not go after the highest percentage that there is, because it's going to be a short trade. So in permanent loss, I wasn't really worried about it. Even though Chirp, lost quite a bit of value during the time I was staked there, I still ended up, I was going to be up pretty big. But then when everything dumped because of the announcement of the SEC, then all bets were off at that point. But still ended up taking some profits. But so. Unfortunately, that was like a black swan event. You can't control that, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
but the LP farming was working.
And so when you're rehypothecating, so for me, I was simply taking it out and I was single side staking it, right? All the way down here. I was single side staking it. I'm like, I want to do the simple thing. I was already doing complicated stuff enough. But in your case, when you were doing this, right, rehypothecating or this, basically you were harvesting, taking that out, going over here, because this is how you get the liquidity pairs, and you were adding more USDC in along with that Chirp, right?
I was doing it actually even more than that. I was actually taking my incentive tokens from my other LP farms that I had on Voltex, taking that and my Chirp, and then what I did was I would convert everything my incentive tokens and everything to, I believe, Chirp, just to simplify it, and then break it, because it was easier to break it up, equally that way. So I moved all my incentive tokens into Chirp, and then took half my Chirp and moved it into USDC, and then I was able to then repothecate into the LP farm. So by doing that, and that's just using what you're currently using, because the APRs were so high, it definitely was the best bang for your buck on that short trade. I was watching also Total Value Locked over on, I know we're going to dive into it later. I don't want to bring it up just yet because we're going to get into it. But when we got into DeFi Llama, I saw the Total Value Lock was dropping and things like that. But it was going down slowly. But all the LP farms were going down low. All the dexes on Pulse Chain were going down slowly.
Yeah, everything was.
But like I said, we'll dive into that here in a little bit. But yeah, it was doing okay. Pulse Chain had really fallen down hard. It got cut. And it got cut pretty bad. It was up to like 100 and what was it? 330 million total locked. And then when the SEC announced, immediately dropped and it went down to 136 million. So it was more than cut in half just on the announcement alone.
Yeah, just when looking at the one farm, right? At the highest peak, we had about 80,000 into this farm here. And then as soon as that SEC announcement happened, it was only a few hours before it dropped down and hit 18,000. That's when I was like, oh shit, I better get out. And I got out, made money. It was good. But yeah, even now it's sitting at 12, so that was a heck of a thing that happened there.
Yeah, and we'll dive into the other ones later. But I was taking a look at the other dexes and everything that were on Pulse Chain and going through them, and we'll dive into the rhyme or reason why I think Chirp Finance still has maybe has more legs here, and it has recovered some. So I don't know. It's definitely one to keep your eye on. That's for sure, certain.
Yeah, and I do kind of feel like I kind of want to I want to take that 200. I actually want to throw it back in. And this is you may remember what I talk about on our DGen Insights, where it's like, or actually the Roundtable as well. It's just one of the things I do. The $100 scratcher. Remember? Hey, $100 bill. Throw it at a casino. See if you can make money out of it. I kind of feel like I can take $200 and I can just throw it at this right now. 100 in each, and let's just let it accumulate and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, it's not a bad strategy. I mean, Chirp Finance has Chirp the token has started to really base out and find its nice bottom. So if you're going to do it, now would be the time. I feel like you could do it. Even on the chart, I don't know if you have the deck screen. You want to bring up the price of Chirp. It definitely has done a nice, it's a smoothing out process right now. Like most of your sellers have left, and my theories are on these incentive tokens. Once you have your sellers gone, the reason why the price is either sitting sideways or goes up is because people are repothecating or using that token in the LP farms that are providing those really nice high APR. So there's enough reason to hold it up, right? The people that got in quick and just dumped it, they're out. So most people that are going to stay in are going to hold it up. As long as those LP farms that have the incentive token tied to them has those high APRs, it will hold up. It's just, it's one of those, you don't want to be one of the last people holding it. That's the only issue. So, but if Chirp Finance ends up making it out, it can end up doing really well over a long period of time. It's just, once again, you got to know your risk.
Yeah, and I could definitely see that. So I was on the 1 hour chart. That was stupid of me, but so on the day chart, yeah, if you're looking at this right here, it definitely looks like we're finding a bottom for the most part. A lot of sellers, buyers, very low amounts. Yeah, okay.
Yep, which goes back to all the other tokens we looked at. They always have that initial run up, and then you have this dump and all these incentive tokens, and then eventually they find their footing, and then they start to occasionally have these massive spikes, which normally is generated because those incentive tokens get added to really, brand new LP farms have really high incentives, like APR percentages, and that typically causes the spike to run up. And you, like I said, we went last time we did this, we looked over a lot of them. You had Phantom, we had that with Boo, you had that with Velodrome, yeah, that with the VLO token. I mean, it just goes on and on. The trend is always there.
Yeah, speaking of Boo, yeah, okay, this is the right one. Oh, what the heck? And that is the wrong.
I'd switch to the day or something. Yeah.
The price on this actually is incorrect because Boo is at right around $3 now. This got to be the wrong chart. Regardless, though, don't really care
But once
about
again,
that.
at the beginning, you had that big pump, and then it dumps, and then then it runs up. I mean, you typically have these nice recurring patterns. I still feel like Velodrome is something that Pulse could probably mimic because it is coming off of that optimism token. So I still think VLO is definitely, if you want to know where these incentive tokens can do or what they normally do, this is what you could get. I know we're going to dive into DeFi Kingdoms, but it's a different beast. The reason why that chart does what it does.
Exactly. Yeah, it's something else entirely. So, all right, enough messing with those charts. All right, so Chirp overall, say, looking pretty good. Although Pulse Chain in general is not looking too good. I think, go ahead and take us out. But overall, I do believe it will be coming back. So, Jeff, kind of what's your thought process on the whole Pulse Chain system? You think, even though SEC is doing its thing, think we're coming back?
Yeah, it's kind of aligning up like everybody else said. If you, I don't know if you saw the tweet by Sami, but it was pretty crazy what Ethereum did and what Pulse Chain did exactly. I think it was 78 days after launch, how much they dropped, and they were within. It was decimal places. Like Ethereum was like 87%, and Pulse Chain was like 88.2. Like it was crazy how the timelines lined up, which is even more crazy because it's a fork of Ethereum. So yeah, it's just like Tracker was just saying how things tend to, they launch, shoot up, go back down, find a bottom, and work their way up. So as soon as Richard defeats Uncle Gary, and then all these other good news, all these bullish crypto catalysts, it's gonna pump regardless. When the whole market was pumping the other day, Pulse Chain was up. They've already pumped a decent amount. It's gonna be very volatile right now, especially in the beginning. But in due time, I still think the ecosystem is gonna do extremely well. And you're seeing this amount of volume in a bear market when there's not even any protocols really running on Pulse Chain. This is mostly like yield farming and stuff along that nature. Wait until you have 140, 150 different operations and dApps that are running. You're going to see the volume. So yeah, I have, all I'm seeing is an opportunity to get more while it's cheap.
Yeah, that's the thing that you're talking about too, Jeff. As it goes down, right? That's where you buy, because like we've been saying, right? It's gonna start going up, and when it starts going up, you were buying way the fuck down here, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's why I like DCA. I mean, nobody can play the market right. And I've talked to people, oh man, last week it was this, it was this. It's impossible. It's literally, it cannot be done. But I will tell you this, and I love this saying, that bears sound smart, but bulls get rich. If you believe in something, and it's gonna go up, if you try to be a bear, you try to be all smart. Oh, I'm gonna wait till it drops. Oh shit, it went up 10%. Oh, well, it's gonna drop again. Oh shit, it's up 20%. It's up this much, and you missed your opportunity. I'd rather miss out on 5% than possibly miss out on 1,000%. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think people get a little bit too crazy with that. I had there's one guy I was talking to, and I couldn't figure out his mindset because he was like, I'm sitting here and I'm talking to him about crypto, and he's big into it, right? And he's all like, hey, yeah, when it goes up and it hits a certain threshold, when Bitcoin hits a certain threshold, that's when I'm gonna start buying. And I'm like, well, why aren't you just gonna buy now? It's lower right now, like it's cheaper. And he's like, yeah, well, I want to make sure that I actually know that it's a bull, a bull market. So it needs to hit a certain threshold based on the charts, enable for it to actually be confirmed a bull. And I'm like, what? Just buy cheaper, man. What are you doing, man?
People have this obsession. Oh, I'm gonna buy the bottom. No, you're not. I mean, maybe like one lucky fucker, but it's not. I mean, good luck. If you're that talented, then best of luck to you.
Alrighty. So moving on from there.
Hey Nate, I like to add to that. I like to add a little bit to the Pulse Chain, man. So the other thing that I would also that's funny, Pulse Chain's network traffic is insane. Like there is a massive amount of users on that chain that are So the activities are there, and that's the number one value. And I know it's funny that you brought up Jeff Sami. He's done a great job diving into it and showing me the numbers and showing you the amount of user activities. And that's the only way they can price these networks appropriately, because I mean, you have market cap, but you have to know how to price them. So right now, that's the number one rule that they're using it to price it. So right now, Pulse is extremely undervalued. A coin like XRP and those other higher coins are very overvalued, meaning they don't have that many users, daily users on those networks at all, yet they're top 20. So just keep that in mind. And then on top of that, yeah, like another example that I saw was XRP and showing people thinking that the price dumped after the SEC, filed against them, but yet in reality, no, XRP actually pulled around and did a 10x after that. And keep in mind, they were the first ones out of the gate. So other networks have already been taking a beating on the SEC. Pulse is just coming up behind it. It's getting its turn basically. So it's become a little bit more normal.
I like it.
Like I don't feel like there's enough. Yes, can the SEC, cause things to slow down? Could it take away some X's and some potential pop? Yeah, but it's still going to have a great performance because you have a huge community, massive users, all these new features that, I know Jeff was alluding to, but there's so many new features coming out on this network. Something that whether or not you like Hex or not, the ecosystem community is always building some of the best tools and some of the best new ideas and gadgets. So I don't know. I my money's certainly betting towards it. I think we're going to have a run up, and I think Pulse, being the L1 is going to be the one everyone's going to be gravitating to, because that's just how most traders and investors look at. They want that L1 because they know that's the main coin for the ecosystem. But at the same time, I would not be sleeping on PE Hex, and I wouldn't be sleeping on Pulse X either. And if you want some incentive, a little boost, I'd be looking at those Hedron and Icosos as well. They at least have a little bit of that in your portfolio too, because they're going to probably have more of a bang, in the run up on the tails of Pulse, and then if it starts getting going again.
Sure. But speaking of Pulse X, the more I look at it, the more I'm just now I have more Pulse Chain than Pulse X, ratio wise, money wise, but we're already. I think the buy and burn is already at 1.55 of the total supply. That's a couple months after launch in a bear market. Like, wait until things are ramped up. There's more things launching on the network. Like the buy and burn is just gonna go nuclear. So and as far as all the different apps coming out, like I don't really fool with a lot of stuff, but I just love this ecosystem so much that I myself will just get into other little things and other little this and that's just to experiment and play and support the ecosystem. And I feel like I feel like a lot of other Hex kids will do the same thing. It's just a different community.
That's one thing that I've noticed about, like, say, Phantom, Polymatic, and any of these chains that are decently cheap in gas fees. There's a lot of fun playing around you can do with small amounts. Getting into a freaking brand new coin that has liquidity so low that I can't even put $100 in without affecting the price 10%. And so then I'm just buying like 10%. I'm buying $10 worth of it, right? Let's see where it goes.
Sure.
It's things like that. And see, if you're spending like ETH gas fees, $10 ain't gonna do shit because you're spending $15. Yeah, to do a $10 transaction. What is that, right?
No,
I would say like
100%.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, we could go on and on about that, but we do got to get over to DeFi Kingdoms if nobody has anything else.
No, I'm good. Let's move on.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up your screen there, Jeff, and let's go look at DeFi Kingdoms. Alrighty. So, yes, DeFi Kingdoms. Now, DeFi Kingdoms is a lot of fun. Personally, I love it because it's the whole like old-timey video game, almost retro-like, but it's also, you got the sound on. See, literally a freaking game, man.
I turned it off earlier. Why?
Just go up to the tab and click mute on the tab.
It's not on my end. I muted earlier. Hold on. Why is it playing? Because I can't even hear it. Earlier I heard it and I did hit mute. You can hear it right now?
No. Nope, not really. Okay. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, as you can tell, it's a game. You get into it, there's music, themes, and all that, right? You're looking around, like they got the freaking castle going over there. So now each of these squares, these are literal plots of land that people purchased. And if I'm remembering correctly, you're actually able to yield stuff on, yield certain coins actually on those plots of land, which is, in and of itself is pretty cool, right? And then there's also, you got your own farms, you got mining. There's a lot of different things you can do with this. And it's all having to do with basically LPing and farming, you know, creating money printers, but you're literally using these avatars and these NFTs to do it. And it's very, I don't know. I love the idea of it all. So yeah, if you want to take it from there, Tracker,
Yeah.
floor is yours, man.
Yeah, man. So DeFi Kingdoms it's a card playing game. So if you don't like card playing games, you're not going to like it. But here's one thing that I'll say about DeFi Kingdoms that to me, and I know me, Nate, and others have had conversations with, it was interesting. When Pulse Chain launched, you had so many people deer in the headlights, not knowing what to do. But if you already were in DeFi Kingdoms, and it was nothing. You picked it right up. You knew exactly where to go, what to do, how to leverage things. Go back out to the map real quick. Let's take a look at the map. So what you're looking at now, DeFi Kingdoms has been around. This is going to be one of the first generation GameFi games, and it's not going away. Okay, because the community is big, and actually they have conferences where they have a pretty big presence there. So what you've done in DeFi Kingdoms is you've taken everything about the whole crypto and you've shoved it into one platform, one game system. So you have NFTs in this thing. You have yield farming in here. You have land plots. You have multiple networks that you can transfer from. Because right now you're on the Clayton network, which there's also the DeFi Kingdom, which is a subnet of Avalanche. So you learn how to switch between different networks. You learn all about your wallets and how to connect. And then you collect items that you have to swap for other things. There's actually on Deck Screener, you can look at ratio trading between different tokens and different NFT items that you actually collect that show up in your wallet. So what I'm getting at here is if you even if you don't care about the game, you get in here and start to peruse around it, it'll expose you to almost everything in the crypto universe to prepare you for just about what's out there. And you can see where it's going. Yeah, don't let the graphics and the wonkiness kind of look at you like, oh, this looks like crap or whatever. Don't judge it, because I'm telling you right now, the features and learning how to navigate around this thing and understanding it is going to definitely help you dramatically in the crypto ecosystem, especially if you're kind of new to crypto. So go to the yield, go to the yield farming, which is basically down in the gardens. Click on gardens. It's in the top right. It's one of the floating. No, here, no, not quite. It's on the floating one. There you go, gardens. So here, go to the seed box. So the seed box here is going to allow you to see what kind of yield farms they have on there. Now, I'll be honest, right now, the yields are, they're okay. I'll get into a minute here, but you can see the different yields, and you would deposit, just like an LP farms. If you're familiar, you'd go in here and you would do your LP farming in here, and you can scroll down and see all of them. And what you notice though is they're using Jade as the incentive token you have on this whole world you're looking at is called Serendale 2.0. I'm not gonna get into the history. There's a lot we can get into here, but right now we're talking about Serendale 2.0. And actually, if you go to I'm not telling you to really do it, but on DeFi Llama, you will see DeFi Kingdoms, and you will also see the Clayton network as far as yield farming. So they do have quite a bit of total value locked. But you're seeing all these different LP farms you can get into. And just like any other one, you just deposit your coins, and then you can deposit the LP tokens. Now you might ask yourself, how do I do that? Click onto the back screen here, and yep, and then go to the Druid. You go to this guy here, and there's tons of stuff online to show you how to do this. You're going to add seeds. When you add seeds, you have to select the 2 tokens you want to create an LP with. So it allows you there to select the tokens you want to join. So you pick out what LP you want to go after, then you go to the Druid, you select the 2 types of coins you want to do it, and then it'll create your LP here, and then you can stake it in the seed box. Like I said, tons of stuff online to show you how to do this. But and then you can come here and harvest it at a certain frequency and then rehypothecate back in. And that's pretty much how it works there as far as this here. Yeah, there's some other characters. This is probably for your NFTs. Yeah, this is your NFTs to do quests and stuff like that. You can gain, and so there's a whole other side of it that we can talk about too. I don't want to get too much into the NFT area because you can get lost in this game. There's a lot to talk about here, but this is, once again, this is all for your heroes, which are your NFT characters you have to purchase. So we have LP farming there. Go back to the map, and then go to the jeweler. And then jeweler, you have single-sided staking here, where you can stake your jewel, which is another coin that you earn. That the jewel is the number one, is consider it the L1 token of this game, because it is the most used one originally. So let's go back to history. Originally, DeFi Kingdoms was on the Harmony 1 network. That was where Serendale 1.0 was created. Unfortunately, Harmony 1 got exploited and the network was going down quickly. So immediately DeFi Kingdom started setting up a game, contingency plan, and they migrated. It's kind of cool in the game. They actually transferred the game over they migrated it over to Crystal Vale. Crystal Vale is on a sub network of Avalanche. But in the game, it's kind of cool. So if you go to Harmony 1 network, you'll see this portal where it looks like the world is completely gone. It's kind of cool how they incorporated what happened in the real world into the actual game a little bit. Kind of neat. So what they did is so then you would go over to, so right now, yeah, you're still in,
switching networks?
is in pets, and travel back to Crystal Vale, which is the Avalanche. Yeah, you can. And you can either switch it on your MetaMask wallet or you can do it here. The game will actually do it for you, but you can just switch it on your MetaMask wallet. That's what I normally do. So if you switch to, here you go, just click that, pop up. Now you're on Crystal Vale. Now you're on
no, wintertime.
Yeah, you're in Crystal Vale now. Same thing though. Everything's very similar here. You can go up to, like, say, the jeweler, or you can go to the, that's the same thing. They also have, there's other like quests and things you can do in this game, but ultimately what you're doing here is you can also earn more yield another way. So you have the LP farms, you have the single-sided staking that are at the jeweler. Go into the tavern, click on the tavern here, and in the tavern, go up to the agent, and then here you can buy heroes. Click on buy heroes, and in here there's so many attributes to these characters. So you have to know what is a good value for certain characters, and there's so many attributes that define what is. I am not going to get into all this because we could be here a long time talking about how to pick a right hero, but they range from, these are different classes and subclasses. Scroll down. Then you get into other things like, how many summons they have remaining. There's a concept in the game where you can take a hero, two heroes, you merge them together, and they can summon a new hero. And you have so many summonings you can do. You need other attributes to do that. You need crystals. Scroll down. But go back to the basics, scroll down to the bottom. Down here, now you can go to how many summonings remaining. The rarities, mythics, obviously the most rare, commons or the least. Generations, or how rare they are. So once you summon a new character, so if you have two generation 1 characters, summoning a new character would be a generation 2 character. So then, I ask, well, I don't want to get into this stuff. So the one reason why you'd want to get into some of these is if you get a miner. So if you've got a miner, you can jump into the professions, which start mining your locked yield. So when you do LP farming here in DeFi Kingdoms, you earn your rewards. Click out of this and go back to your map. I just want to see something. Just click the X on top. Yeah. Go back to the map. Go into the professions. So here, you'll notice in the top left-hand corner, you got these coins. You have Jewel, you have Crystal Veil, and you have two different types of crystal. Crystal is the incentive token you get. One is unlocked and one's locked. The way they do this is, so when you start yielding your coins, a lot of it is locked. As soon as the game started, most of it's all locked, and they have these things called epochs, and they get every week they start to an epoch will occur, and that allows you to unlock more of your yield crystal that you earn for the incentive token. So the way it works is the longer it goes, the more you will be able to take out of what's locked. But when that coin is locked, though, you can actually send your miners to this pick man. If you click on him, and you can then select, you can select gold or crystal. You have to have locked crystal for you to do this. But once you get in there, you can select your heroes, and they will mine, and it takes like up to 8 hours for them to complete their quest. And then when they get done, they will start to pull out your locked yield that you've been compounding. When DeFi Kingdoms first comes out, when they launch in a new expansion, the LP farms are crazy. I mean, they don't even, I don't even know what number you'd even give it. It's in the trillions of percent when it first comes out. Then it starts to drop pretty quickly because it's just all, once that concept we talked about, the more people that get into the LP farm, it drives the APRs down, because it's just, there's only but so much of a pull there. Thus, the more people there, the more cut everybody gets. So you get in right when day one launches, you can earn a ton of yield. And then what I normally do when I get my yield, I dump it immediately. I'm trading it, I'm swapping it back into stable coins like every day. And people are like, well, that was crazy when you did it. Yeah, but I also, if you look at a chart on the deck screen or on Jade, you will see at Jade and Crystal how that just tanked. It just keeps going down. But if you get in early, you can actually earn a lot of the token, and you can actually make quite a bit of money at the very early starts of these games. But because they lock it up, that's trying to hold it as an incentive so people can't just dump everything. So you will have people driving the price down, but you will have people also holding. And then there's other attributes in the game. They've added things like, you know, combating and stuff. They're going to be adding more features here where you can actually be using the NFT characters, the heroes, to do stuff. They've even incorporated pets into this, which are another NFT where you get these eggs, you find eggs, you can hatch them. Then you get pets. There's a lot of attributes to the game that utilizes NFTs, GameFi, LP farming, and all this. So it's, I mean, there's a lot to get into. Nate, you want to add anything to this?
No, I think it's absolutely amazing. Like me personally, I don't go too deep into the actual gaming itself as much as like I kind of I purchased a couple of miners to go mine out my Jade, because that's what I'm currently doing is Jade. And yeah, every single day when I wake up. I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I was just telling whoever's driving, click on the trader here.
Oh yeah.
Click on trader, and this is where you'd swap your tokens, your
Yeah, and
coins,
see, the
whatever.
cool thing about that is I love how they have the setting too, right? It's in a marketplace. You got the trader, you're trading things, and it's literally like exactly a visual representation of what a swap ultimately is. So if you go to like Uniswap, if you're using Pulse X, heck, even if you're using like like Coinbase.com and Crypto.com and things like that, right? You're swapping the exact same way. Ultimately, what you're doing is exactly this right here, which is in a marketplace. And I find that absolutely fascinating that they kind of like put a real life face to what it is that we do every single day, you know?
Exactly. And then they're going to be, there's rumors that their next expansion will be on another network. So that's one thing you definitely would want to get into. Of course, everything we're talking about is just for entertainment purposes. Nothing's for, none of this is financial advice. But what we're getting at is, if you get in early to these expansions, like I'd love to see it on Phantom personally. I think that'd be really cool to see.
That's where I was going with that. Think about it. Spooky swap, right? You put it on Phantom and you have like a Halloween world, you know? Maybe it comes out for Halloween. Wow, that'd be so cool, man.
Yep. And then you have other things in here. You'll earn like other types of and stuff that you find on these quests. Your characters find this stuff, then you can take it and you can create potions and all types of stuff here that are worth value. There's the combat, so you can have combats with different characters where you gain experience. So yeah, I guess my biggest knock, I would like to see the graphics get a little bit more refined from the team. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see more of them utilizing the characters, because that would definitely drive up, you know, more on the price. But as far as understanding, like I said, everything I said, this is definitely something you want to get exposed to just to understand how to navigate, because it does show you a lot of stuff. Even if you go to Deck Screener, you can actually look at the pairs and look at different things like how much are, like, you know, the items you get, how much value are they holding up. They have a chart for every single thing in this game. So there's a huge ecosystem to this, you know, based on value and trading. This is the alchemist. Yeah, you can start crafting. You have to have certain potions and things to create item. You need certain items to create potions. I ran the numbers on this and I looked at it all, and I didn't, at the time, it didn't seem like it was worth selling or giving up the items that I find to form these potions, at least at the time. Like I said, not to say it wouldn't change. I just think like everything else, GameFi this is not the year for GameFi. When we start getting into 2024, it's going to start ramping up, I think. So DeFi will come back. The prices have obviously been tanked just like everything else, but they will come back. I have about 12 heroes that I've been working on, so I got them leveled up. So I'm just holding everything down and just keep yielding and doing my thing here in DeFi Kingdoms. And if it comes back, I will definitely be probably unloading some of my heroes at the top and of the DeFi network. But like I said, they make a huge presence. They do a lot of marketing in the team. They have a pretty nice sized team. It's a huge community, and I can see it sticking around. I don't see this one going away. This is going to be one of those games that just stay around. It's not going anywhere.
I agree, and unlike certain other games, remind me, what was the name of it? It got really popular in the Philippines. It's on
Axie.
Axel, yeah, Axie. Yep. So this game is not going to be like Axie, where unfortunately everything basically goes downhill. This is one where you're more so you're utilizing the characters themselves to actually just farm things out, and they're continually building on new L1s, right? They're like, I've heard rumors that they possibly might be going over to Optimism next, or Arbitrum, and starting something up there. If that's the case, then holy cow, that'd be awesome, right? But they are expanding, right? They've already shown it. They've started here in DeFi Kingdoms off of AVAX, right? They went from Harmony, switched it back over to Clayton. Yeah, going into like something like Phantom, I could see that easily happening. This DeFi Kingdoms has that ability to expand out into basically more worlds, and it's kind of like you're going to have the universe of the multiverse of DeFi Kingdoms, right? And that's what's a lot of fun about this, is being able to play this game on multiple different fronts with multiple different themes going on, So that's my personal take on that.
Yeah, if it were to get into our Arbitrum or Optimism, that'd be huge. That would give them a lot more eyeballs, because they already are huge for LP farming. And typically when they launch the expansions, they get a lot of buzz around it because those APRs are so big right out of the gate. So it'd be really interesting to see them do that. Just because, I mean, Optimism and Arbitrum, those are two of the bigger, heavier, networks that have a lot of total lock value.
Agreed. Alrighty, and so yeah, that's what we're cutting this a little bit shorter, I would say. Go ahead, take us out. So ultimately, like what we just got done talking about there is like the farm side of things, right? How to create basically the money printers. There's a lot more that we can get involved into DeFi Kingdoms. But yes, that'll be that for now.